Let's play some hockey. Stars Blues Game 3, series tied at 1. Well, Blues wins have been nail-biting finishes.
History, Jeff. Okay, your game will be the opening game of the Nat Stadium.
Clearly, the Wizards are not the same team that they were in the beginning of this season. They are definitely a force to be reckoned with. You could see the defending champions here tonight playing a back-and-forth game all night long. And they say that basically he influenced, Muhammad Ali. And he said, listen, would you...
A second, but I just wish that you could elaborate a little bit more about what it felt like to go through that elimination game. And given that opportunity this year, how would you guys do it differently?
Hey guys, here we are. Yes, welcome to The Hustle. Yes, right here at WLVS Radio, listenvisionlive.com. You know, I'm here each and every Tuesday, and I decided to dedicate today's show to my baby because she was finally in town on a day I was doing my show. And, you know, it's not every day I'm around her these days. She is so busy being all that she is in the world of tennis, so I don't really get to see her as much anymore. It's so interesting because she was always around me every single day, and this was the 1 year that I had to get to, accept the fact that my kids were no longer going to be around me as much. So this was like a growth year for me. It was difficult, but I got through it, and I'm here. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the world to, I introduce you guys to my son. He is a twin to her. He was born 1 minute than her, so she's actually my youngest, my baby. And he is my older one, and he lets her know it all the time. But without further ado, let me introduce you to my daughter, my baby. This is Alana Smith. She is incredibly shy. Oh my goodness, she is so shy. So she's gonna make me work today, by the way. Okay, Alana, you can't be quiet. Say hello.
Hi.
And she's so shy. Aren't you excited to be here with your mom?
Yes, I am very excited. We'll see how this goes.
She said to me, actually, Ma, you are not going to talk to me for 1 hour. What can I possibly talk about for 1 hour? This girl has traveled the world since she was 13 years old. She has been to Wimbledon. She's been to the French Open. She has been to the U.S. Open. She has played in a lot of junior tournaments around the world. She has been around the world, everywhere. And she's talking about, Mom, what could you possibly have to want to talk to me about? Excuse me? Everything, right?
I don't know.
Okay, so Alana, let's just go back for a minute because a lot of people don't understand about tennis. Sometimes they think, oh, well, maybe the parents are pushing their kids in tennis or whatever. Talk about what I did as a parent in terms of how you were kind of raised in sports and how you excelled in sports. How did you first get into tennis, things like that? So go back and just kind of talk to them and tell them all about your history.
Well, I mean, me and my brother, we both started out playing like multiple sports when we were younger. Like you had us in baseball,
Yep.
the basketball,
Yep.
flag football. And also tennis. And then I think by the time I was 12, actually you got mad because I broke my finger playing basketball.
Yes.
And you said I can't play basketball anymore. And then that was really the final.
But you also cracked your ribs.
Yeah, playing baseball. Yeah.
Playing baseball. She ran into a pole. And she was also playing like other sports and things like that too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was kind of interesting how this all unfolded. But I did not believe in the fact that kids should have free time. So that's really how this all started. I didn't even know whether my kids had any talent, really. I just was like, okay, let me let them play everything because they were twins and they were so rowdy and energetic. I didn't know what to do with them anyway. Right?
Yeah, me and my brother, we always got into a lot of trouble, obviously. But yeah, you just kept us active
Yeah,
24/7.
I kept you guys active. And so, when you look back on it, are you happy that at 13 you got to see the world, you started traveling, or what would you do different if you could?
Um, I'm not too sure. I think I don't really think I would change anything that I did. Like you said, I traveled the world already, so
What was your first trip though out of the country? Do you remember that?
Guadeloupe.
Yeah, Guadeloupe. And then what else?
Uh,
South Africa?
yeah, South Africa, Costa
Yes.
Rica, all those.
She started playing at 13 years old, really far away. And I'll never forget because I was so nervous. I was like, oh my God, I'm letting my child go to South Africa, and she's only 13 years old to go play tennis. Am I crazy? I mean, I was so scared. But you handled everything like a champ. I mean, you did really, really well. I was really, really nervous,
Yeah.
about letting you go.
Yeah, I mean, we always went with someone. I wasn't alone sometimes I was, but most of the time, like the Africa trips, I always had someone there with me, so it wasn't that bad.
Yeah. The only time, okay, Alana, talk about the time when you got stuck in Mexico City. Believe it or
yeah.
not, yes, she got stuck in Mexico City. I mean, these are the things that a lot of people see only the glitz and the glamour. And we're going to talk about all that stuff regarding tennis because when you see a Coco and you see her doing all that winning at Wimbledon, you have no idea what the whole journey has been like. And there are things in tennis that really are really scary. So just talk about that moment, and let's move in just a little bit closer because I think we're a little too far from the camera. Hey, this is live, so you got to get used to, us making shifts and doing stuff. This is live, whatever. Okay, so go ahead, Alana. So talk about how you got stuck in Mexico City and what time of year was it?
So it was on Thanksgiving. I was 17.
You were coming from where, though?
I was coming from Mexico.
No, but
Yucatan.
you were at where?
Yucatan?
Yucatan. Exactly.
Yeah. And I took a flight from Yucatan to Mexico City.
Because you were en route home.
Yeah.
That day, she was coming in back to home on Thanksgiving.
Yep. So I didn't have the right paperwork.
Right. There was a piece of paper that you were supposed to hold on to in Mexico.
Yeah.
And my daughter did not know that. And the people, I guess, that had traveled with her or she was joining did not tell her that she had to hold on to this piece of paper. And so she had a change of flight in Mexico City. Go ahead.
Yeah, so they wouldn't let me on the flight without that piece of paper. So I had to go back out of the airport to get another one. But they were saying I was underage. So I had to get a note from something emailed to them from my parent, and it had to be notarized.
On Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, on Thanksgiving.
And they held her up in immigration in Mexico City and required her to reach me and to get a paper notarized saying that I'm allowing her to travel and she's underage. All this, she just had to stop. I didn't think she was going to be staying there. I just thought she would be stopping in Mexico City. Right. I'm like, they took her off the plane and held her up in immigration and were so mean to her and refused to allow her to speak to me in front of them in the immigration office. They kept telling her, you must go out of immigration, do not speak to us, to your mother in front of us in the immigration office. You have to go outside and speak to her in Mexico City. And she's underage. And she was crying. She was scared. She was crying. And on top of that, they refused to let me use a credit card to pay the fee that they now required her to pay in order to get on this flight. So she had to have cash. And Alana didn't have cash. So the problem was, how was I going to get cash to her in Mexico City on Thanksgiving Day?
Well,
So what else did they? I mean, these are just some of the stories that we have been through in the life of a tennis player. By the time you guys see tennis players, what you saw between Djokovic and Federer pales in comparison to what they've had to do to make it that far. I'm sure that they have their own stories, but go ahead. So what did they require you to do in the airport, Alana?
So I had to go get cash. So we would go, naturally, you just go to the ATM. But there was something going on with the card, and since I was in Mexico, so.
In Mexico City, Citibank decides to now put a hold on the card because it's in Mexico City. And that's I guess maybe it was unknown to them that she would be in Mexico City. So now they decide to put a block for fear of some sort of, I don't know, something. So now they're not letting anybody use card.
Nope. So then we had to get them to release the hold. But then when they release the hold, the ATM wants to close.
The ATM closed on us. The ATM closed on us. Okay. So now we can't even use Citibank now. So now I'm really scared because I'm like, how am I going to get my daughter some cash? And she can't just sit in Mexico City. And she's underage. And she's being held by people who are being very, very rude to her.
Right. So then I go back upstairs, and obviously I'm trying to talk to them, but they don't speak English. So I'm saying the ATM's closing. Well, closed on me. And he's like, well, there's another ATM, but it's on the opposite side of the airport. So I have to go from B airport to A airport.
Okay.
With all my luggage.
With all of her luggage.
And I had about 3 bags.
You had 3 bags, including all of your tennis equipment, and nobody helped you.
No.
So she had to travel from one side of the airport all the way to the other side of the airport with all these bags.
Yep.
To get to the ATM. And at this point, this is now maybe 5-6 hours from like 4 p.m. So it's now like 9, 10 o'clock. I don't know what time it was in Mexico City, but it's late here. And we're still on the phone trying to negotiate some cash for her. Go ahead.
So I get to the ATM. The ATM, everything works out fine. But this is like maybe 5 hours after my flight. So I missed that flight.
She misses the flight back to the U.S., right? Go ahead.
And so I make it there. It took me like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes to walk all the way to the other side. Then I have to carry everything, like my luggage, everything, back to where I was because they wouldn't let me leave my luggage there, even though they knew I was coming back.
Was it American that we were dealing with or Delta?
This was just immigration.
No, I know that. But I had to get on the phone with the airlines and beg them to put her on another flight to the U.S. and that it was of no fault of our own and that, I tried to work it out with them not to charge us another fee to put her on a flight to the U.S. And they were, I forget whether it was American or Delta, but they were very nice. They recognized the problem. I had them on the phone. I had, at that point, I had like a Nordstrom card. I begged Nordstrom to at least let me pull some cash out in Mexico City because we were down to that was the only card we could use to get her some cash at that hour. It was like 11 o'clock now here, p.m. on Thanksgiving Day. I never had Thanksgiving Day that day. I never had Thanksgiving dinner that day. And then so we got her cash, and then the airline was nice enough to put her on another flight. Go ahead.
Yeah, so my original flight was at 1. I think I didn't get on a flight till, was it 10 p.m.?
That Mexico City time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was
Whatever
like
time
midnight
that was.
over here.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't.
So we were able to finally work it out. We paid immigration cash of what they wanted because they required some sort of cash payment. So we paid that. I got them a notarized letter to immigration in Mexico City, and she was finally on a flight. And then we called up some friends of ours to pick her up in Miami the next day, and that's how I finally got her home. And it took me about 7 to 8 hours to get my child out of Mexico City. Yep. And I said, oh my God, this has been a complete nightmare. And that's how, I'm not saying that all of the situations in tennis have been a nightmare, but just that nightmare-ish type of situation became a nightmare just because of all the stuff that was going on. But otherwise, we finally got her back out of Mexico City and back home. So I was happy to have my baby back here. And I was like, okay, you don't ever have to go play tennis in Mexico City. So luckily, we got her back. So, and then one other situation, and then we're going to flip and we're going to talk about her incredible year at NC State and all the stuff that she achieved this year. But one other situation, she went to where? Alana, Germany. Talk about the situation in Germany.
So when you go to tournaments, you set up like with the tournament directors, like how will you get to the tournament site and all this. So they tell you, okay. So they told me get on the train and go to Gladbeck, and then they'll pick me up.
Gladbeck. So
they'll pick me up there.
So we're thinking, okay, Gladbeck, they're going to pick her up there at the train. So she catches the train from the airport, and she's going to go to the Gladbeck station, and that's where she is going to meet her point of contact, and that person will pick her up and drive her to the tournament.
Right.
We worked it out because she was traveling by herself into Germany. So I said, okay, fine, right?
Go.
Okay, but no one tells us. Go ahead, Alana.
No one tells us there's a Gladbeck.
There's a Gladbeck and there's a Gladbach
in Germany. So
in Germany.
And then so
station.
When I get to the airport and I go to the train, I find my way around because everything's in German. Like, I don't understand one thing that's on the signs, nothing. So I'm just asking.
Nothing's in English.
I'm asking people around, like, where do I go to the train? So they tell me you go downstairs, to the left, to the right, whatever. I make my way there. Then the train, there's 2 ways to go, 2 directions to go. So I'm just asking, like, so random people, hi, do you speak English? And they're like, no. So I keep going, wait. Speak English, no. And then one person's like, okay, yeah. And I go, do you know where to get to Gladbeck? Didn't know there's a difference at the time. And she's like, yeah, go on this train. I'm going, and this one I'm going on, and then you'll hit there. And so the guy told me it'll take me maybe 30 minutes to get to where I needed to be. So 45 minutes pass. I'm still not there. I'm on the train. Then I'm like looking at maps because I have nothing else to do. There's no internet, no nothing. So I'm just looking at the map, and then I see like a Gladbeck and a Gladbach, 2 different directions. So I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. And so I sit down, I'm just thinking, like another 10 minutes maybe go by. I'm like, I am definitely going the wrong way. And so I call up. I finally get some internet. I call my mom. I'm like, I don't really remember what I said or anything.
She was crying. She was not as calm, cool, and collective as she is right now presenting this story. She called me, and she was like, Ma, I'm lost. I don't know where I am. And I'm like, Alana, you are in Germany. You're supposed to go to the station where they're supposed to pick you up. We worked it all out. What are you talking about? But Ma, there's another station with the same name. I was like, huh? And she's like, yeah, and it's Gladbeck and Gladbach, and I don't know which one it is. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And she goes, and I asked somebody where was Gladbeck, and they told me it was the other, and I think I've gone in the wrong direction because I've been on the train now for 1 hour, and I was only supposed to go 30 minutes, and I think I'm in the wrong. I'm like, oh my God, hold on, get off the train, stay where you are. I don't care. I'll pay for a cab. I'll pay for Uber. Just stay where you are, get off, and tell me exactly where you are. So she finally gets out, and she gets to the location, and that is when
Remember, we just went back. I went back to the airport, and they just said they would pick me up from the airport, which
Right.
they could have done in the first place.
Right. So she went back. We decided, okay, Alana, just take the train back to the airport because that's where she knows. And I let those people at ITF Tennis World know that I was really upset at the fact that they had not informed everyone that there were 2 stations. How do you have a meeting place of a station where you have girls coming in that do not speak German? And you have a meeting place at a station that can either be Gladbeck or Gladbach. I was livid. I was really upset. And so they, after me letting them have it for so long that my daughter was lost, did not speak the language, they finally were like, look, just have her go to the airport, have her go to the subway there, and we will pick her up. And that's exactly what happened. So that's like another nightmare, and it's really scary. And had I known about all of this, I don't know if I could, had I known about all of the craziness that could go on when you're traveling so much out of the country and the type of life that tennis players have to live is really hard. And I wanted her to definitely come on. We're going to talk about all of her achievements and the accomplishments that she's had in her career, in her young career so far. But I just kind of feel like it's super important for people to understand and to grasp that that's not an easy field. Y'all see, everybody sees the Serena, the Venuses, the Federer, Djokovic, all of these people, but I don't think people are really detailing the stories of when they were young trying to make it, because you can't make it in tennis if you decide, I want to be a teenager and I want to play tennis. No, that ain't going to happen. You got to start playing tennis when you're like 4, 5, 6, 7, around those ages. That's when you really start learning, because it's such a commanding of a sport that you really have to learn how to play that sport young. And the hand-eye coordination alone, the quickness, the speed, the agility, the conditioning, and you're one team. You are your one team. It's not like you have teammates. You are your one team. So whether you feel like playing or not, sometimes you got to get out there and play. Just like other, professional players, they have to play too when they may not feel it. But I'm just saying that this is a highly demanding sport, and it's demanding from the time you start playing tournaments all the way. And you can have some nightmare stories too if you choose not to play the ITFs and you only play the USTA tournaments that are in the US. Okay, but we wanted Alana to not only compete with people in this country, but we wanted her to compete with the international crowd as well, because that's really what she's going to compete with if she were to play pro. So why not have her compete with people around the world from the time she's young, and rather than just have her compete with people just from the United States. So that is why we kind of opened up our world, but it wasn't easy. It definitely wasn't easy. So those are just some of the stories. The rest of the stories have been really a lot of fun. She's met some great people, right, Alana?
Yeah. Amazing.
Some really good friends, right? Where are all your friends? From
None of
where to
them.
where? Not just in the DMV, but they're
No, it's all over the country, out of the country. People I haven't seen in years because I just probably won't see them.
right that you've met along the way
That-
though in
yeah.
tennis, Paris,
Mm-hmm.
right? You've met some friends in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You've been to Africa how many times?
3?
Really? So let's name the countries in Africa that you've been to.
Okay, South
South Africa.
Africa.
One of the smallest countries in the world, Burundi,
Uh-huh.
right?
Togo.
Togo,
Benin.
Benin. That's it, right?
That's it.
Then you've been to Tunisia,
Oh, well, Tunisia, yeah.
and then you've been to where else? All throughout South America, all throughout the Caribbean,
Yeah, all the islands basically.
all the islands, Puerto Rico,
Bermuda,
Bermuda, Guadeloupe,
Aruba,
Aruba,
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, several times Costa Rica. So Paris,
Yeah, Europe.
England, good grief, Brussels, Germany,
Iceland.
Iceland. She hasn't been to Serbia, Igor.
No, not yet. Mm-mm.
In time, maybe, I don't know. In time. So it's just been a whirlwind, and now she likes to play in the U.S. and she doesn't like to play in other countries, and she gets kind of picky about stuff like
I
that.
do.
But anyway,
Very
that's another
picky.
story. So,
Like Mexico. Ooh.
so now that Alana is here, so we decided that instead of to let her continue on the pro tour, that we would take a little break, because as tennis players, you can either continue on the pro tour or take a break and go back to go to college and try to do well enough in college that you increase your rankings and things like that, and it gives you some more time to develop in tennis, or you can continue on the pro tour and dish out a ton of money or let the colleges pay for it. So it's a variety of different avenues that you can take to make it in tennis nowadays. You just don't have to make it at 15 or at 14 or at 16. You can make it because women are playing tennis long into their 30s. So we decided, you know what, why put all that stress and strain on her? She was doing well, though, on the pro tour. But we kind of pulled her off and said, you know what, you have a really good deal in college, so let's continue on with college. So she went to NC State, and this was her first year. And think about it, Alana had not been in school. She had not been in a regular classroom since what grade?
7th. Middle school.
Since like middle school, since 7th grade, she had been homeschooled by me and then homeschooled on like a homeschool tutorial system. So that's a long time to be away from a classroom. So it was quite an adjustment. What was the adjustment, Alana, did you find that you had to make this year as not just a tennis player returning to school, but I mean, what were some of the adjustments you had to make?
Having to get up to go to class. That was probably something that was. I mean, I caught on because I was used to getting up, but it was just like, I'm getting up now to go to class, like actually do work and stuff. That was because in homeschool, it's just everything is on my time whenever.
Yes.
And I didn't really have like deadlines like in like actual school. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was mainly. But I got used to it. Like first semester probably was a little slow. Second semester was pretty. It was good. I was used to it. I got used to it by second semester.
You got used to having to turn in and adhere to the deadlines, right, of school and stuff like that. Yeah. So she basically had to learn how to go back to school again. And think about it. You've been away from school, regular school, since 7th grade. And Alana and her twin, PJ, my son, showed a lot of talent when they were young in tennis. And so we continued on with the whole tennis life, and that's why they really were homeschooled originally anyway. And then my son wanted to go to a regular high school, and that's when we put him in high school, and Alana continued on, and stayed with the tour, the junior tour, and then she moved on up to the pro tour, and then we pulled her off, and she went to regular college. So this was kind of major. Okay, so let's get to the whole accomplishments. So Alana goes to NC State, okay? And she plays number 2 there at NC State, which is pretty high, right? Because of why? NC State is in what division?
It's Division 1.
Division 1, and what is their, what's their?
ACC.
Right, they're in the ACC, okay? Which is one of the hardest, what would that be considered, the ACC in the, that's
The
part of one
best
of the
division for tennis.
best
I believe.
division for tennis.
Yeah.
The ACC, okay? So she plays 2 at NC State. So I was really excited for her, let alone, I was like, okay, cool, that's really good. She'll hopefully, do well and things like that. Well, I didn't know she was going to do this well. All right, so talk about that, Alana, about all the stuff that you did this year.
So I ended the year an All-American
In
college.
No, you were an All-American in singles and doubles.
I was All-American in doubles.
In doubles, okay. You had 5 player of the
Player of the weeks.
She had
in the
5
ACC.
player of the weeks in the ACC, which is huge. Okay? 5. She got 5 times she was voted player of the week in the ACC, which is very difficult to do. Okay? Not everybody gets that. Not everybody gets player of the week. Okay? She got it 5 times. Okay? Which is really huge, and then ended up her season being the All-American. She went to the NCAAs. Talk about what history you brought NC State.
So this year we ended our highest ranking was 8, but we ended the year at 11 in college. That was our highest year ending ever in NC State for tennis. Me and my doubles partner ended up number 4 in the rankings. So
Wow, they're number 4 in the country now.
That was the
in
highest.
doubles. That's the highest
That was the highest in
school history
for a doubles team.
Your coach got Coach of the Year for ACC.
Yeah, coach got Coach of the Year.
You beat one of the most winningest girls in tennis at NC State. You beat her this year, right? Anything else we're missing this year? She got so many awards. I mean, I'm just like, good grief. Every time I turned around, her local coach here was texting me talking about, your daughter just got this. She just got that. She just got ranked this. She just got this. So it was such a magical year for her. I was so excited for Alana. So I knew I was definitely going to have her and her brother on my show this year. I was hoping that I could have both of them together, but it never ended up being where my son is away out of the country now. So it wasn't ever a time where I could have both of them on the show. But I knew that I wanted to definitely have them come in and talk about what their seasons were like. We'll probably talk more, with PJ when he gets back about his season as well, because he had a really good season too. So what else, Alana? You went down, and then finally you went to the NCAAs, and you guys made it to the quarters?
Yeah, we lost in the quarters.
In the quarters at the NCAA tournament, which was held where?
In Lake Nona, Orlando.
Right, and if you guys know anything about tennis, Lake Nona is where all the professional tennis players practice at the USTA Training Center right there in Orlando. Anybody you want to see is practicing there. So except maybe Venus and Serena. So, okay, so let's switch gears. Okay, so let's talk about, we won't talk about Wimbledon yet. We'll talk about Wimbledon in a minute, but we'll talk about Coco, okay? All right, so we'll talk about Coco, okay? Because nobody believes me, I think, that I knew Coco. And we did. We've known Coco since maybe I've known her since maybe 13. I don't know about my daughter. She probably knew her before. But I've known her since she was like 13, since Alana introduced me to her down in...
College Park?
No, down in, remember it was at the clay tournament down at Orlando or somewhere? Not Orlando, Fort Lauderdale.
I don't remember.
You don't remember that? Oh, okay. It was in Florida, though.
Okay.
You remember I was talking with Corey there, and then that's how I first learned about.
Okay, wait, I
Coco.
remember. Yes.
Yeah, it was on clay court. What's that tournament called, though?
I don't remember the term.
Okay, so
Too many.
so anyway, so just talk about your experience with Coco, Alana.
I mean, we played all the same junior tournaments. I mean, I played. I think the College Park tournament up here. She played it. I played it. We're cool. Like I know her mom, dad. Then we went to when I played junior Wimbledon. She was playing junior Wimbledon too, and I think we were in rooms next to each other. I was in this room, she was in this room, and then another friend of ours was in the next room. So we were with each other every day.
At junior Wimbledon.
This was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, this was a couple years ago. But junior Wimbledon, what did they do? They put you in dorms where?
At a university there. I don't remember what the university is called, but they put you in the little dorm rooms. You have your own room, your own bathroom.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, so when you get into junior Wimbledon in England, they put you in like a university type setting, and they put all the girls in these special dorms, and that's where they were. But they also trained together. Alana's forgetting this. They trained together at Patrick Mouratoglou, who is Serena's coach. Alana got invited there as well as Coco to go and play, to go practice there. And so for a whole week, I think, her and Coco practiced at Patrick Mouratoglou's facility, tennis facility in Nice, France. Yeah, and that was during the whole Cannes Festival. So Corey, the dad, texted me and said that he was taking them to dinner because Alana ate, she didn't get enough food there. In France, they didn't give her enough food at Patrick Mouratoglou's place. I don't know how, but they didn't get enough food. So he texted me and said that, hey, listen, I'm taking your daughter along with my daughter Coco to dinner because they are really hungry. They ain't giving enough food. And by the way, they don't give seconds there. At this time, I don't know if I should say that though. I don't know if I should be saying that. But anyway, they didn't. That's what you said, Alana. You said they wouldn't give you seconds.
I mean, I don't really remember. All I know is I was still hungry and I couldn't get any more food.
You were still hungry.
Yes.
And you couldn't get any more food.
Yeah.
How do you have, girl? And they didn't have what? Snacks and drinks on the court, or they only had water? They didn't have like Gatorades and stuff, and it was hot.
No, they did.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
they had
just the
Gatorades.
food.
But just a few. Okay, so it was tough. It was really tough because I know how much she eats. And I knew that, for her to play in that heat all day long, she's going to need a lot of food. So I don't know what they're thinking over there. But anyway, that's our, experience. And then also they played College Park here. So we are real excited for Coco when we saw how well she did at Wimbledon, because just a few years ago, she was just like my daughter and everyone else, kind of going all around playing the tournaments. Her grandmother was here. I remember seeing and meeting her grandmother at College Park. And she comes from really nice parents, but I know her father, Corey. So it was really nice to see her do so well. But we've seen her do well so many times that we knew that given the right opportunity, the right draw, and the right surface, she is probably going to do very well. And I think that that surface, grass, suits her game very well. So we're excited for Coco, and we wish her the best. So anyway, so let's just talk about Wimbledon. What do you think about, I don't like this new rule that they have. They have this new rule about, Igor, did you see that? They have this new rule where when it gets to 12 all in the fifth set, they have a tiebreaker. I don't like that. I don't like that because I want you to win like you got to win in tennis. By 2, in a tiebreaker, you got to win by 2. But they stop it at 12. If it's 12 all, they stop it and you got to play a tiebreaker. And whoever wins that tiebreaker wins the match, basically. I don't like that because I'm accustomed to, who was it? Was it Isner?
It was Isner.
John Isner played a tournament like that, right, Alana?
It was Wimbledon.
It was Wimbledon, right? And he went to how long? How many games?
69 to 67.
Was it?
69 to 67. It took 3 days.
It took like 3 days.
But Wimbledon's the only.
I don't think there's ever been another one like that, though.
No, Wimbledon is the last tournament that still doesn't play a tiebreaker at 6 all in the fifth. French Open, U.S. Open, Australian Open all play tiebreakers 6 all.
6 all in the fifth.
The Australian Open they play a 10-point tiebreaker at 6 all.
Oh, a 10-point, really? And so
U.S.
Wimbledon,
Open and French Open is a tiebreaker at 6 all. Wimbledon is the last one basically that lets you keep playing on. I didn't like the 12 all tiebreaker.
I don't like the 12 all. Please go back, Wimbledon, to the way it was.
No, they probably just switch it to 6 all tiebreaker.
Oh, 6 all tiebreaker.
Yeah.
And then it just keeps going then. So it's not, but that was a 6 all tiebreaker.
It was 12 all.
It was 12 all, but it was 6 all that went to 12 all. And then they did another tiebreaker on top of that. Had they just continued to play at the 6 all, then whoever gets to 2 points. So we could go way past 12 all then.
Yeah, it could. That's what a lot of matches have.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's basically may the strongest man win. Then it becomes very physical. And that's really what I want to see when it comes to Wimbledon. I don't think I like that rule. What about for a player, though? Do you think for a player, what if they instituted that same rule for, say, girls who play best out of 3?
Oh, no, a player, you want to play 6 all, the tiebreaker probably. I mean, obviously Fed probably would have wanted to keep playing because he did lose every tiebreaker that he played, which I was very upset about. But he probably would have been better if they just played a tiebreaker at 6 all instead of playing 12 more games. They technically played 2 more sets.
Right.
Because 12.
Right. So I think they were giving Federer enough time to win. He just couldn't do it. I don't think he's just not better than Djokovic on grass.
What?
I don't know. Igor, what do you think?
He was
you
up 9-8.
think Federer's better or?
He was up 9-8, 40-15 serving.
I think Djokovic is the best.
You think Of course he's going to say that because Djokovic is from his hometown. And Igor even said that he has family members. Don't you have family members, Igor, that live down the street from where Djokovic grew up? Is that what it is?
Yeah, and also when he lives now in Monaco. My aunt lives there.
Oh, you have an aunt or your uncle. You said
My aunt lives in Monaco.
Your aunt lives in Monaco.
And Monaco is very small, so wherever you live, it's near.
It's near. Oh, okay. So your aunt lives next to Monaco where Djokovic lives now,
Not next door.
but close in the same community. Walking distance. And then also you grew up close to where he grew up.
Yes.
Okay. Did you see him playing tennis when he was a kid? Oh. Did you have like local tennis courts that kids could go play on?
I played tennis for 7 years, actually.
You played tennis for 7 years? What? No way.
But I decided to follow music.
You didn't like tennis that much.
Well, I like tennis very much, but like I
Oh, you don't have anyone to push you.
And
Yeah.
I didn't know what it is at the moment. It was just
It was just something to do, a game for you at that time. Yeah, you do need a lot of people pushing people. And by the way, is a shout out to, Alana and PJ fortunately have had somebody looking out for them far better than me because I didn't know what I was doing. But their coach was a friend of mine, and that's really how they got involved in tennis because tennis was probably the furthest from my mind to put them in as a sport. I didn't grow up with tennis. In fact, I liked it, and I used to take a broken down racket with like a ball that probably had no air left in it, and I would walk up the street in my house as a kid because I couldn't find anybody else to want to play with me. So I just go walking up to the local school and just go hit off the wall when I was little. And it's just so funny how, and I would just do that on my own just because I love just kind of hitting the ball up against the wall. But little did I know that I would have little future tennis geniuses to come along and open up a whole new world of tennis to me. But thanks to Rozelle Lightfoot, who really helped to recognize and to groom my children in tennis, because that's not really a sport I would have chosen because it's expensive. It's hard to stay in. You have to have some money, and luckily, and it's not that I had money, but I just had somebody, like Igor said, someone behind my kids pushing them along and showing me a way to do it in a way that was cost effective. But if you don't have somebody who can show you the way where it can be cost effective, then it is very difficult to pursue and to help guide your children in tennis. And thanks to him, he showed me the way. And the way he was shown was because he was an Arthur Ashe protege type kid growing up in Richmond, Virginia. And he was shown how to do it and do it in a cost-effective way, which you can. You don't have to play in every tournament. And we got grants and all kinds of different things to help me out and to help Alana and her brother become tennis players and to groom them. But you still, even at the level that she's at now, you still need money. So it's not easy. It really isn't easy until you get to, and then all of a sudden you break out and you have these incredible wins like Coco. And then all of a sudden you get all this money thrown at you. And now you have, now you can hire the best coaches, the best hitting partners. You get everything, right? The best rackets, clothing, everything is at your disposal. But until you get there, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of resources, but it's one of the best sports. And I have to say this because Rozelle says this to me all the time. It's one of the best sports to put females in because it's one of the only sports right now, I'm sure it'll change, but next to golf, I'm sure, but it's one of the best sports that girls can make incredible money, incredible. And look at Serena. I think she's worth about 180 million. I mean, but I'm not even talking about if you reach Serena's level.
It's definitely worth more than that.
Right? What do say doubles players make? Female doubles, I'm just saying doubles players make. You can make, even if you were to just enter and go to like the 4 Grand Slams, you could make.
Yeah, say if you won, like even if you just played one of them, you made it to you won it. You and your partner would split 600,000.
Right.
In a 2-week span.
In 2-week span of time, you could make $600,000 as a female athlete. That's incredible. Or $3 million. if
it's
win.
Singles.
Yeah, in
if you
singles.
win it, the winner got $3 million.
Right, right. So it's still an incredible sport for women, and I would recommend. We expand our horizon. You don't just have to play basketball. You don't just have to play. Try it out. Try other sports and try some things in our community. I know it's not easy, but just try to get your kids to play a variety of different sports because you just never know. You really never know, right? Are you happy that you stuck with tennis?
Yeah. I'm pretty happy.
Do you miss the team sports though that you used to play, like the
I mean, because in college
softball,
tennis
baseball?
is because college tennis is basically a team sport.
Right.
It's the only way how tennis will be a team sport is in college with teammates and all that. I mean, do I miss it? I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, I still go like because some of my friends at school like
Yeah.
I'll go and play like basketball with them or something like that. Obviously,
Right.
I do stuff not to get me injured. Like I won't
No,
go
you can't.
100% out or something. Like I'll just be on the side, do what I gotta do, but like it's still fun. Like, but no, I'm glad I stayed stuck with tennis.
Right. You don't miss playing second base, Alana, because you were like an incredible second base player. Second base player.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
No?
obviously I miss it, but like I wouldn't have, I don't know. I wouldn't be probably in the position I am right now, so.
Yeah, I know, and you're in a really good position. So, but wasn't it kind of funny? I don't think Alana remembers this, but my son and her were playing baseball, and my son comes home crying one day, and I'm like, "What is the problem?" I mean, he was just so upset. I said, "What is wrong? What is wrong?" And he comes in and goes, "It's just not fair that your sister becomes the pitcher of your baseball team."
No, I don't remember that. Do
And
not.
And I had to laugh because I was like, oh my God. I never really had to deal with that. I didn't even know how to deal with that. You know, to have your son come out and go, you don't know what it's like when your sister becomes the pitcher of your baseball team. And I said to myself, wow, that must have been really hard, you know, as a boy growing up to have somebody as talented as Alana was and is, you know, as an athlete. I mean, you know, she always could do just as good as him and really kind of, you know, really took it to him. So it was always kind of difficult for Alana, you know, I'm sure because he'd be like, you know, he wanted to do things too. And, you know, and Alana always did just as well. So it's never like he never did he get an opportunity where he was totally by himself. He always had to share the stage with her.
And I always had to share stuff with him too.
Yeah. But I mean, I must admit though, the first tournament he won, and you didn't win that, and he shared his trophy with you.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? The first one at Wheaton? Hey, huh? At
No.
Wheaton? No, you don't remember that? Anyway, so that was it. So, all right. So what are we looking at now, Alana, as we look towards the future in tennis? So where do you go from here now?
I mean,
You're
hopefully.
here for a few more days with your mother. And then you're off to where?
Back off to school.
Back
and
to
then
North
play a few
Carolina.
more tournaments
To
in the
NC
summer.
State. Huh?
Playing a few more tournaments before the summer comes.
She'll play a few more pro tournaments or ITAs?
Both, whichever.
Okay, so she'll play a few
before
more
school
pro
starts.
tournaments and another collegiate tournament, and then
Before school starts.
before school starts, and then what else for the year? Then you'll play more
Hopefully-
pro tournaments during the fall.
Yeah, but there's still school stuff I have to do, like tournaments and stuff for the fall.
For the fall, really? Okay, I thought you played more pro though in the fall. Because
I mean, I
last
just
year
play
you played
both.
you
Both.
played both.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. Because last year you played like some pro ones, but you didn't play as much collegiate. Last fall.
I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe I wasn't. I wasn't there for all of those. Sorry, couldn't be there. So then she'll get ready for her upcoming year, and hopefully get to like number 1. And she's already ranked number 4 in college tennis for doubles. They're trying to get to number 1 spot, which they probably will get there soon. They'll probably be number 1. That's a big jump, 4-1. They'll do it. I'm sure they'll do it, and I'm sure that she will be probably top 10. She's probably going to finish top 10, if not number 1. in college tennis this year. So I'm excited for my daughter, excited that she's making everybody so proud of her as a tennis player. She's done so well on the tour. And we'll see what the future holds. There's no rush, though. So we ain't trying to make her a pro tomorrow, but look out for her because I'm sure she's going to be up there soon, joining the likes of Coco and all of them, her other partner. So, and you'll probably see her and Coco playing doubles at least one time. It's so funny. They never really played doubles on the junior tour, and we kept trying to coordinate times when they could play doubles, and we never got, her and Corey. I mean, Corey's like, God, I want your daughter to play doubles with my daughter. And I'd be like, yeah. And then all of a sudden, it just didn't work out. So look for them to play doubles, I'm sure, on the Pro Tour at some point later on. But anyway, that's been so much fun. I've had my daughter right here. Yes, Alana K. Smith, look out for her on the Pro Tour. And, I'll be back next week with some friends of mine from the Mystics. Yes, talking about their season. They'll be in the house next week, so I'm excited about that. Don't forget The Hustle each and every Tuesday right here, 6 p.m. It's your girl at WLVS Radio. Listen, visionlive.com. I'll see you guys next week. Later. Bye. Thank you.